What are we doing?
Book launch.
Book launch.
Book launch.
Book launch.
Trying to find my happy place. Clarice, you're emceeing tonight, right?
Yes, I am.
You ready to go?
I'm ready to go. I've got all my notes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Alright. Well, we can't tell the camera too much.
Yeah, okay.
We'll have to
alright.
find out, right?
My lips are sealed.
Where are we right now?
Now,
Yeah, where are we?
this is Art Lounge.
Art Lounge, yeah. Where can people find this place? What's the location?
277 Lygon Street, Carlton.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful spot and it turned out really well.
By acknowledging that we are on the lands of the Wurundjeri Wurrung people of the Kulin Nation. So we're here today to talk about and celebrate The Street Poet, the first solo poetry book by Jaden Luke Adkins. And I first met Jaden in 2017 because we started RMIT together. And we weren't really that close back then, but a couple years down the line, we both found ourselves writing poetry and sort of reconnected through that. Jaden's writing has always felt rebellious and raw and punk, but also playful. And so Jaden is now going to read to us an excerpt from his new novel. So please make him feel welcome.
About to read a piece that's roughly about halfway through the book. So this piece is called Turtle on a Train. There's a turtle on the train. On the first day it hasn't rained. He looks exactly the same as always. Long scraggle of hair and beard, frayed black peaked cap, shabby brown coat full of holes. His shell hangs heavy from his back. That hiking backpack shell, the home he drags along with him all day, every day like clockwork. Yes, beautiful, beautiful book there. I feel like just because I can look at it doesn't mean everyone can see it. The cover, I knew from the very beginning sort of what I wanted. I wanted that smoking skeleton, and I knew that I would be modelling that painting, which was really strange to stand in an alleyway doing that for a photo. But then, yeah, I contacted an artist who, funnily enough, I met for the first time through my street poetry. They had found one of my poems that was I left up in Broadmeadows, my hometown, before I moved. They lived there as well, and I thought, great, someone who grew up right around the corner from me. They're gonna do my cover, absolutely.
So cool.
That's what I want. Do it yourself. Who's stopping me? There's nothing really stopping me except for this invisible, oh no, I'm not ready. I don't really know why that is. That doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to bypass that whole stage and do it myself. And that's why I started my own publication press, Backshed Press. So the idea is that I can help other people who feel like they're ready to publish their works do it now instead of going through some big publication, say whatever we want and do whatever we want here and now. So yeah, that's where that's led, and that's why I like self-publishing so much.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's so punk. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, yeah, I even fight the word self-publishing. I'm like, oh, right, it's independent publishing.
Oh,
Thank you
sorry.
very much. Independent.
Yes, so good. So a lot of the poems in The Street Poet are derived from true events and true details, and it's all sort of sewn together with these diary entries from this character, Johnny Locke, who is like you, but it's like not you, but it's like sort of is. So what made you want to write this sort of narrative, and how did that guy like emerge?
I do ask myself that because I really didn't want to do a self-insert character for a while. I was like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't do a self-insert. I can't. But I did, because when I was writing my first novel that I co-wrote with two other authors, There's a Tale to the City. When we were writing that, it was meant to just be a true story. And that was weird for me because I prefer to write fiction. So I was kind of a little bit confused as to why we were writing a true story with a bunch of fiction writers. And we got about halfway through and I went, I don't want Jaden to do these things. This is wrong for me to do these things. I don't like it. And then we started taking creative liberties and making a few changes here and there, and I thought this isn't a true story anymore. So we have to change something. So we changed our names in that book.
Yep.
And I chose the name Johnny Locke because I was wearing this at the time. I was wearing a lock. I made a joke about The Shining with Here's Johnny, and I went, that's it, Johnny Locke, done.
Okay, so it might be a bit presumptuous to ask at this point in time, but what is next for Johnny Locke? And what is next for you?
Yeah, I can probably actually talk about that. There is another book coming. There's another book coming. I can't stop, apparently. That book, actually, the next book that's coming, I started writing that pretty much the day after my first book came out. There was no break in between, so like 2021, we're talking 2nd of September, we started working on this book. And it's not written alone. My first book was written with 3 people. This book was written on its own, this new one. But this book that might be coming out by the end of this year is written again with my dear friend Jay, who lives in England, the United Kingdom. He travels that country a lot. He travels lots of countries a lot, especially Europe. And I feel like having a traveler on my side, someone who's seen the world, could do some good for a new book.
I am directly behind
That's
everyone.
okay.
On that same note, I am curious, in the process of developing multiple books, how do you find it different working with other writers versus creating an entire book by yourself? Because obviously, like, I feel like it would be motivating to have those people along with you, but like, do you prefer sort of one or the other? Like, what have you found the differences are? Not to throw anyone under the bus.
I like working with other people because they can hold me accountable. I sort of feel like if I have a night and we deserve nights of rest, of course, but I don't particularly like too much rest until I'm done. I'm very like, let's get it done. And so working with other people helps with that because I feel like I owe something to someone. I'm like, this has to be done. They're going to be waiting on me. I can't let them wait for me. It's usually the other way around in the end. But I like that. And I also just like writing with other writers because you get 2 different voices, which means you can have 2 different opinions, 2 different takes on things. I find that really fun. And if that person has a stand-in character like I do with Johnny Locke, then those 2 different voices are 2 different versions of self-expression. I think it's sort of refreshing. It feels more realistic, having more than one sort of outlook in something. It's really good having you all here. Thank you very much.
Getting one of these. Hang with this.
There's a thing in there.
I'm just kind of like.
There you are. Thank you very much.
Like so invested in
And
this.
you. There you are. Thank you very much.